I'm really thrilled to have an opportunity to talk with everybody today about a lot of the work that we're doing that we're really excited about. I'm going to be joined by a good friend, Mike Ellgass, here in a moment. Mike runs the Retail Media Network Partnerships at Circana. He has an awesome background, having led a marketing team at Walmart for a long time. And if you go back a little bit further, pretty long career at Kraft. So brings a really nice perspective on kind of what we're all thinking about. You know, how do we take these products and get them on shelves or get them in e-commerce places that ultimately can get in the hands of our consumers? So I'll bring Mike up in 1 second. Before I do that, I'm just going to do a quick step back and just a little bit of a reminder on Ibotta. The reason I think the reminder is important is because a year ago, I didn't really understand the power of Ibotta before I joined. I really knew about this 1.0 version of Ibotta, my characterization 1.0. When the company started, Brian, our founders in the back, lovely guy, say hi to him. He loves Colorado. But when the company was founded, the idea was, how do we make every purchase rewarding? How do we help consumers find value? And the company started on the back of a direct-to-consumer app called Ibotta. Very simple value proposition. You download and install the application, and then you will be offered kind of the rewards to you or cashback offers to you that make sense. You claim those rewards, you go to your retailer of choice, make the purchase, you get some money back. Very simple value proposition, and it worked. It worked really, really well. 50 million downloads since the time of start, over $2.5 billion of rewards given to consumers. So like this little idea that Brian had, it's something. And what the team realized at that point is there might be an opportunity to go a step further. And that step further is all about meeting the consumer or the shopper where they are. A lot of people remember apps, but as we all look at our phones, we know we've got pages and pages of apps, and at times you forget that you have things on your phone. And so the team focused intently on meeting the shopper where they are and started the Ibotta Performance Network with a partnership with Walmart and expanded to Dollar General, Instacart, DoorDash, as you see here. And the key opportunity here is taking the technology that we had built for the Ibotta app and making it present inside of all of these retail experiences. So think about a white label experience. It doesn't bring Ibotta forward. It's all about the experience of shopping inside of Instacart, Walmart, et cetera. And that gave the company scale. We reach 200 million American consumers on a daily basis. That's a pretty big ecosystem. And if you're trying to compel people to buy products, scale means a lot. And that got the business to a really great place. Okay, now we've figured out how to reward the consumer. We've worked with the retailer. We're now a great solutions partner for them. We're on the third leg of this journey. And this is all about taking the work that we've done to date and providing proof that when you are running offers and promotions with Ibotta, that they work. And when I say that they work, I mean that they deliver incremental value to your business. We're sitting on a really unique and rich corpus of data that allows us to leverage machine learning to come up with the right offer variant for a given person, allows us to measure those results, and ultimately to optimize to drive better results. This is all about being in the moment and driving performance marketing, not set it and forget it and see what happens in the future. And the reason that's important is because if you're e-commerce, we've been doing this for decades. If you started a shoe company today, you could have a campaign up and live on Meta and on Google. You could get results in a day, maybe even hours. How is it working? You could move your spend around, all focused on the efficacy of the campaigns. It's been harder in CPG. It's harder for two pretty big reasons. Proving incrementality is very difficult. That tends to be a major pain point. And the other thing is just getting that real-time data to be able to react to. Getting data 6 weeks after a campaign ends is helpful, but it leaves a little bit to be desired. And that's where we are really focused. This methodology that we have launched, called Matched Audiences, enables you to measure, enables the brand to measure true incrementality. And think about it like this: 2 exact populations, many similar considerations. You saw a TV ad, this person saw a TV ad, saw an out-of-home ad, saw an out-of-home ad. The one difference between the 2 populations is one is exposed to an offer that's powered by Ibotta and the other group is not. And when we measure those 2 distinct populations, we're able to then look at the delta between what happens. What happens to the exposed group? How much do they buy? And then what's the propensity to buy for the unexposed group? And that delta gives us true incrementality. And so that allows you as a brand to, in the moment, understand, is this working? Is this driving value for my business? And if it's not, because not everything works all the time, let's turn it off. Giving you the control and the flexibility to run your business in a way that works for you. When you want to drive more scale, we can drive more scale. If you need to drive more efficiency, if there's a big trade campaign happening, or if there's a big media campaign in market and you say, we just can't pay that much in this given moment, that's okay. And that's super normal. And we are really focused on giving that flexibility back to back to you so that you can provide it to the consumer. All of this is really awesome. That little arc is why I joined the company. I'm incredibly passionate about this opportunity to revolutionize CPG marketing. In and of itself, again, awesome. What makes it even better is to have partners like Circana. This group knows what they're doing. Very rich retail data set, couple of acquisitions in the last few years that put them at the forefront of measurement. And we today are announcing the deepening of our partnership with Circana, which is really exciting. And the reason it's really exciting is because we have to keep score. We have to measure everything. And we are going to measure in the most unbiased way possible. But we understand that when you see our measurement, you say, well, how do we know that's really real? And so this partnership with Circana will enable us to allow y'all to have access to sales lift reports from Circana based on Ibotta campaigns. That's never happened before in this space. This is digital promotions reaching towards a performance marketing solution. Mike, love to have you up here. I'm going to try to navigate the stairs. I was told not to start on the stage, but then I was afraid the stairs are actually pretty easy, Mike.
Oh, I made it.
You're going to be okay.
There we go.
You're going to be okay. Mike and I also have 2 microphones going just because. So we're feeling good. Again, thanks everybody for being here. Maybe we just start with, we got this announcement out today.
Yeah.
How you feeling, and what gave Circana, what gave you the confidence that working with this Ibotta could be a good idea?
So as you mentioned, I've been in the industry for a while, and I've actually known Brian for quite a while, because when I was at Walmart, we were trying to figure out how to do the kinds of things that you are now doing at scale. So I've been cheering for the industry for a long time, and what's difficult in the role that we play is we report the news, right? Sometimes the news isn't good. So when you choose us as a partner, you're kind of stuck with this impartiality that we bring. But we have seen enough work with you now to prove to me the efficacy of how you go to market and the effectiveness. And so to be able to tell that story and be a part of kind of transforming the promotion industry is super exciting for me. I'm really proud of the partnership.
I love it. And I guess, can you talk a little bit? We've had some pilot campaigns going. We've been measuring.
Yeah.
We've got some results. What does it look like?
Well, you know, what's tough about results is we have customers we've dealt with for years, and so they know how to ask really tough methodology questions and pressure test things. And what we're seeing is results that are well above our benchmarks. And so then you have to justify, like, do we feel good that we got to the right answer here? And I think what we're seeing is your data set is so robust that you're targeting in very effective ways as you laid out here. And I guess it shouldn't really be surprising that when you have the right customer segment with the right message and you provide an incentive to take action, that's going to be really powerful. And that's exactly what we're seeing.
Love it. The right offer, right person, right time tends to work. I was reading something this morning from your colleague, Kara Pratt.
Yes.
And there's this headline in this article that said, "We are reaching a retail media network measurement crisis," which sounded like a lot of words and a pretty big concept. But for all the marketers that are out here, how should they be thinking about this? How should we be thinking about the consumer journey, omni-channel experience, multiple steps to purchase, e-com, in-store, et cetera, et cetera?
It's really getting tricky, and I think our motto is don't grade your own homework. And if you are going to grade your own homework, then I think you owe it to the advertisers to be extremely transparent in the models that you're using and in your methodology. And I think there's a little bit of fatigue for many of us in the industry that have been working on standards. Circana was one of the folks that worked on IAB standards, and it's groundbreaking work foundationally, but it hasn't necessarily changed behavior. And having come from a CPG background and having worked at places like Kraft that had really robust approaches, like nobody wants to invest dollars without knowing whether it's working or not. And retail media is an interesting dynamic because we all know how to make those dollars work to some degree, but then to isolate them and make them more effective is actually challenging because of some of the moving parts you talked about. And so as we talk to our brand colleagues, and we have a national business where we support national campaigns, that they're really begging for not necessarily standardization as much as just transparency and, a common approach. And I think the IAB did a nice job of laying out things like, if your KPI is awareness and you have a retailer that can't tell you whether the ad was actually viewable or not, that's not a great fit for that KPI, right?
Yeah.
A lot of our focus is on incremental lift, which kind of sorts it all out. Because if you don't see an ad, it's unlikely you'll buy, and you see that in the results. And so I think what we're trying to do is take methodologies that have been proven now over 10 years of retail clients and support the industry in moving towards a more robust view. And of course, we would love to be that provider. But what's important, I think, is less about who the provider is and more about, are you explaining to your clients, who now the advertisers on the other side, right, of the seat for the retailer, the approach that you're taking, and are you sharing with them, how you got to the analysis that you did? And these bigger companies, I was kind of joking, but we spend time in Cincinnati and other places where there's a lot of data scientists and a lot of desire to get to the most precise answer. And I think what's changing is that the bar is raising, right? It was one thing where people just wanted to understand incrementality in total. What you see now in surveys and in the conversations we have is I want to understand by segment what's working, by channel what's working, by creative what's the right frequency. And our products attempt to answer those types of questions. And when you have those answers, you feel good about investing in retail media because purchase-based targeting works. A retailer has a unique view of their customer, as you've proven, utilizing your data and that. So nobody should be scared about measurements or transparency because it's going to show very well if the strategy is right as it relates to targeting and your campaign design.
What are some of the gaps today that have caused us to get to this point where marketers are finding themselves asking the question at the end of the campaign was, did this work or didn't it work? And maybe with incrementality in particular, like, what are the things that have to be true to enable this kind of ecosystem where there's a publisher and there's an advertiser and there's you guys, and we're all looking at a set of data to see incrementality?
I think honestly, it's just a question of growing too fast, right? It's still early innings for this industry, and I think folks have to have a business model that pans out. So you focus on getting ad products and scaling up your data. What people tend to forget is like the most important piece of this equation is actually the analytics on the front side to say, I'm going to talk to the right homogenous group of people about something that's going to change their beliefs or their behaviors. They're going to take action after seeing this. And I think, unfortunately, I've seen a gap on both sides where in some cases the brand is not sending somebody that has the expertise to write the right marketing brief. And so now you've got a tough situation where you've got a retailer that's early days of figuring this out, a brand that isn't really designing a campaign that's the kind that they would if it was a national campaign done by headquarters. And so that double gap is then leading to, I don't know if this is working or not. And I think a suspicion that it probably isn't because they know the discipline maybe hasn't been there on the front side. So, I mean, we've got to come to the table as, sell and buy side to make this work. And then you start getting excited about seeing the results.
Well, it's almost like, that whole thing, you're at home with your spouse or your kids, communication really matters. And that example that you brought up, if you're not aligned on what the goals are, if you're not aligned on what the measurement is going to be, you're going to be vulnerable.
Right.
And it's one of the things that we're really proud about is looking at this corpus of data and being able to say to somebody, okay, let's look at what we think will happen. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to break through with a new product? Or are you trying to take a tried and true heritage product that you just want to make sure it's staying top of mind? And the ability to set a forecast, set a target, and say, let's see what's happening. Critically important. Totally. If you were to you go back in time, put yourself back at Kraft, but in present day, what are the things that you would look for in a partner on the measurement side, on the activation side? What are the things that you think are really critical to look for in partnerships?
Well, we talked about, transparency and just kind of understanding the evaluation criteria. But I think, the point you raised at the beginning on KPIs is super important too, and understanding what data is available to you to build. Like when we, again, have these conversations with brands, their focus on a segment is hard to get to unless you can unpack some analytics, right? And I think of the world in terms of people that are fairly loyal to your products and people that are rejectors. But in the middle, you've got a lot of folks that the movable middle is what the MMA calls them. And the work that we've done on that is very compelling. I mean, you think about stereotypically, the guy that drinks the same brand of beer his entire life. There aren't too many people like that anymore, right? We're variety seekers and we have different occasions. And so you've got to think about your customers in terms of segments, and you've got to think about what's going to motivate them to choose you more often. And I think what I would be looking for as a brand is like, help me get those learnings, right? Because in my day of using sticks and stones and television, you use demographics as this terrible proxy, right, for who you thought you wanted to talk to. And now a retailer can tell you, hey, this group of people only buys you in these types of occasions, or this type of consumer, has different need sets that we can see by what else is in the basket. I mean, it's just super fascinating. And to step up to that fire hydrant and start taking a drink as a brand person is not easy, right? So you need a sales organization that's not just trying to, get you to buy campaigns, but to get you to understand your business and where your opportunities are. And I think that's one of the biggest changes I've seen in the last, I'll call it 12 months, is our retail partners investing more in salespeople that are able to do some analytics on your business. My boss, Kara, that was quoted in that Forbes article, spent almost 20 years at Kroger. And what Kroger did very well is got the data, check, made the data available, check number 2, but then they also brought a consulting team with 8451 where you could say, just help me, like do some analysis, and eventually that'll be done by AI, and we'll still have to understand the recommendations and decide what bets we want to take. But that's the ask of the brand team, I think, is help me get to the segments that I can drive difference with.
I guess it can be pretty daunting, right? I mean, it's as great as all of this is, we're all just still a single person doing a job, and there's more and more and more coming. And I guess solutions that can help simplify that become super, super critical.
Raise your hand if you're over-resourced in your current job, right? Any Maytag repair people out there just waiting for the phone to ring?
Yeah,
we're all busy. That's the challenge.
Yeah, we're looking for 3 to 4 jobs at minimum in Ibotta at a given time. It feels like it keeps your energy up.
Yeah, for sure.
Keeps your energy up. Talking a little bit about talking a little bit about personalization. How do you think about this notion of incrementality, where you have, in some instances, it's a net new consumer,
right?
So if this is a newer product on market, the opportunity to win net new consumer, you got an open field, you can go make it happen. Again, then you can have some heritage products been around for a long time, harder to find that net new consumer. How do you think about incrementality between the two groups, and I guess also including our movable middle? And how do you think about talking to them effectively?
Yeah, I think you again bring up a good point of a lot of times people think in terms of new customers, right? And it's binary. They've never bought me before, and I now have this new customer. And in many CPG categories, that is not how it works at all, right? You have different levels of occasion and different levels of share of wallet that you're getting. And that's again where I don't know how you get to those answers candidly without retail data, because when you have a longitudinal view, and many of our platforms and retail platforms go back, 2 to 5 years, you can see people's share of requirements over time, right? And you get a really nice understanding of product attributes. So, forget brands and forget categories, but if you're selling yogurt, you're selling portable protein is what you're actually in the business of, right? So what's in the portable protein aisle? A lot, right? From cereal now to drinkable yogurt or whatever. And so I think marketing of the future and getting to those right, what is truly incremental is going to be putting people into more well-defined categorizations than just they buy light beer or,
That's right.
full beer. It's going to be, people that think I'm a special occasion, or people that think that I'm right for the whole family versus just the adults in the family. And that's a harder question to answer, but the data's there now to take that kind of leap.
Yeah, we think that incremental truly means it is one more, and it could be going 0 to 1, very incremental.
Easier to see.
It also could be 2 to 3.
Harder to see.
And 3 to 5, much harder to see. That's where the kind of matched audiences, synthetic control, testing control. Can you talk a little bit about how Circana thinks about cutting up the world so that you can actually see that's the driver of impact, whatever that may be?
Yeah, I'm going to say a couple provocative things here.
Okay.
Right? First of all, I'm going to tell you that our methodology for test and control takes into consideration your propensity to buy, looking at your history, looking at seasonality, looking at your loyalty to the platform that you've been exposed on. So there's a lot of things that go into good matching that will help us understand the baseline well enough to say, actually, you did go from 3 to 4, 4 to 5, or whatever was the next opportunity for true incrementality. And what will strike some as heresy is there are industries where a random holdout is the best way to go about that. Mm-hmm. And it's a perfectly legitimate way to measure CPG campaigns as well, as long as you have a homogeneous target. If you have good integrated marketing that is using a full approach, you're going to have people that were exposed contextually. You're going to have people that were exposed through like run of sight type purchase. You're going to have behavioral targeting. And you are not going to understand the biases you're creating in a good campaign unless you can figure out exactly who's going to see it and set those people aside. And so there, again, different products for different occasions, but for this multi-channel retail view, we really believe in getting the matching right on the control group, which is a lot easier to do after you find out who showed up and actually saw it.
Yep.
And so like the methodology we're taking with Ibotta is to truly understand what people's experience was prior to being exposed. And so that's where we can feel so good about the view of incrementality. It's not a perfect science, but it's extraordinarily accurate, to like a 99% significancy if the testing is set up correctly. And so that's our job.
Yeah, and I think we hear the word incrementality. It's pretty almost buzzwordy at this point. And I do think something that you said is so important. Like, you have to be able to look backwards. You have to understand what I was doing and what Mike was doing last week to have any perspective on what we're doing this week. And it creates some real flaws if you're just trying to look from time period A to time period B. Because I can rewind 10, 15 years and we did that. Time period A, this many units moved. Now we ran a campaign. Time period B, obviously the campaign was the significant driver, but we actually have no idea if that was the case. And so I think what we pride ourselves on at Ibotta is being a data-driven technology company. And we have more employees that are working on the data sets and the machine learning than anything. And that's all about helping us get really good at this. And you're the exact same. And I think for us, that's why this partnership is so important, because we feel like we see the world similarly. And I think for all the marketers, really critical to find folks that will be transparent and forthright with how they're measuring. And if everything always works or nothing ever works, probably not real.
True.
We probably got a minute or two. Let me get your take on just the the e-commerce versus in-store. One of the advantages that we bring to the table is we can see in-store transactions, we can see e-commerce transactions. We love all the transactions. It can be a little harder to see the in-store transactions at times. How do you feel Circana steps forward to help a brand see the totality of a customer journey?
Yeah, I mean, we're really blessed to sit on the largest loyalty database in North America, and the richness of that data when you have hundreds of millions of people and you're capturing, in some case, all of their transactions or a high percentage of them, it really gives you fuel to do the kind of work that you're describing. And so, we're really happy we were able to bring together what was NCS with Circana, which has given us just more scale and more like-minded people to tell the story and support the change management that needs to go into getting to great performance. It's funny, when I came into what was IRI at the time from Walmart, we started talking about ROAS, and I had never heard people talk about it as attributed sales. It had always been incremental return on ad spend for me at Kraft Foods, right? And I had brought that to Walmart. So when I started telling the organization we had to put a little lowercase I in front of ROAS, they're like, "Are you kidding me right now?" It's like we had a mixed business and stuff.
Made my job much harder.
Yeah, they're like, "I don't understand what you guys are doing." But incrementality in CPG is critical, and measuring it's really difficult unless you have really rich data to do it. And so that's what's fun about working with you guys, is that the scale of what you're doing now gives us ad exposure that allows us to model really precise reads of what's happening.
And how about on the speed? One of those things that we saw in the one of the stats that were on those slides was that the marketer felt like they just didn't have in the moment data to work with.
Yep.
And one of the things we're obviously trying to work on is how do we shrink the time to be able to get these reads? How critical is speed, and how do you enable speed to go faster if in fact it's important?
Yeah, it is important, right? Because what I really believe in is always on type campaigns. Like there's seasons where you've got to drive things, but there needs to be a cadence of what you're doing, because we all know ad stock decays and that it's easier to maintain than to start from nothing. What we're doing with this partnership is integrating the way our data comes together, as you know. So the Ibotta ad exposure comes to us in real time. The retailer transaction data that we have comes in real time, and we've built models that can be run very quickly and then inspected before delivery. And so, this business tended to have an SLA that was, 8 to 10 weeks. Like, nobody wants to wait that long, right? Like, our aspiration is to build a system here that will get us results about a week or so after the post-campaign period is over, and we're going to work to have it actually drive business decisions, right? And have people not only know how well their campaign performed, but hopefully have understanding of what'll make it even better next time. And I think collectively, driving the KPIs apart is important too, because, if what you're trying to do is take people that have never bought, and that's the incrementality goal, that's a harder mission than taking somebody that has some level of loyalty and getting more incremental purchase. And so I think getting that feedback in real time to brands will help them kind of understand how your products can deliver against different KPIs, and will hopefully help them, increasingly get better at the segmenting part, get better at driving the KPIs that they want. And time is money. I think Brian would agree on that one. So we want to be able to provide the fastest returns in the industry together, and that's what makes the partnership pretty special.
Yeah, we feel so fortunate to be partnered with a company like Circana. We, to run our business, have to have the data sets. We have to set targets in advance of campaigns. We have to measure the campaigns. We've got to talk about that with you in real time, because we really believe it's critical to think about optimizing campaigns for better performance. Even if they're doing well, let's try to make them work better. And after the campaign is over, having the validation come in from Circana, we just think it gives you, as the marketer, the ultimate opportunity to move quickly, to gain trust, move quickly again, and gain trust. So I'm really thrilled to be able to do this. Thanks so much. We're going to open it up to the audience. If there are questions, Mike just kind of did a little masterclass on CPG marketing there for a minute. So if you have questions, please fire away. Anything is okay.
At the beginning, you mentioned that Brian's in the back of the room. I feel obligated to just tell people he's a little shy, so you're going to want to approach him quietly, but you can really draw him out with the right questions. So.
That's clear.
Hey.
Traffic.
Hi. Yeah.
Like open like in the wall continue to even under the state one that cover like that that's what a wall block on the hard or hard work or something from you one that how does
Yeah. Okay. Great question. And I think really maybe even at the heart of what we're talking about, this fragmented shopping experience, which leads to omni-channel campaigns. Ultimately, the data set that we sit on top of, we're going to see transaction data whether you start in our app or you transact in the store. So you might see the offer in the app and you clip it and you go buy it in the store. We can see the behavior in each place. That's the thing that's number one. The second thing, you mentioned Walmart, who is an incredible partner, and we would love to have more stuff in store. What we have are two things that are pretty compelling. Number one, when you're in the store, you can open up the app and you can still grab offers there and you can see the access. The other thing that you can do is when you check out in store, you can put your phone number in at checkout, and every offer that you had clipped, either on your computer or in the app earlier in the day before, or in the moment, gets transacted. So we are definitely aware of, focused on continuing to bring more in-store access. And look, we ultimately want Walmart Cash to be something that is channel agnostic, whether that's in the mobile app or on the website or in the store. And we will continue to work with them to bring that to life in different ways.
And the answer is similar for us. The retailers that are participating in this loyalty pool, we're getting a feed at the transaction level, at the store level. And so it's essentially coming from their data lake. And so online transactions just kind of look like another store within the system, but it's all brought together before we take it and process it. Does that make sense?
What about the talking about measure portrait not fashion? They sell, but now they define like that's more pathway and data
that. We believe our data, and we also know that we are very comfortable. Mike mentioned transparency. You need partners that are transparent, and we're very comfortable being transparent. If you're not, there's no way this partnership gets off the ground, because like Mike said, we give them all of the impression data in real time to match with the retail data. And so we just see this as like another step towards proof, because we're all trying to drive efficacy. We're all trying to cut our worst performing stuff, double down on the stuff that's working best. We're going to tell you what's happening. You're going to say, I think I see that too. Then they're going to say, here's what we saw. It's just another form of validation.
And the benchmarking is important. We have thousands and thousands of data points in our benchmarking, and it's been great to compare benchmarks because you guys have done a fantastic job with the data you have. So there hasn't been any big surprises as we've brought it together.
And beating the benchmarks, which, as you said, not surprising, but pretty awesome, and something that we're really excited about. Any other questions? Any other comments? Do you have any hot takes? We were going through hot takes at dinner last night, and boy, that is something I wasn't even aware of. TikTok, hot takes, pretty good content. Okay, let's wrap it up. Thanks everybody for joining us. Appreciate your time, appreciate the partnership. Thank you very much to Mike.
Thank you.
And thank you to Circana. We are excited about bringing incrementality forward, helping marketers reduce waste, find proof, build great campaigns. Thanks so much.
Right on.
Cheers, y'all.
Thanks, Deb.
Great stuff. Great stuff.